Good morning, everybody. This is Lorraine Ball,
And Jennifer Denny.
and we're live on Facebook as well as other platforms. But today we're going to talk about changes at Facebook.
Yes, a lot of went on yesterday.
So, if you're tech geeks like we are, you may have known that yesterday was the big annual meeting for Facebook. And I think they did it completely virtually, or maybe they did part in person. But the part that was released to the public was a 90-minute, well, uh, 1 hour and 20. So 80
Yeah.
minute video of Mark Zuckerberg demonstrating his vision of the future and unveiling a new name.
Yeah. So, we've got this brand new name, Meta, that
Mm-hmm.
we are all going to have to get used to. And, it's similar. I think about Google and Alphabet and, how they had this top company and then there's all these products underneath Google. We all know Google search engine and we all know Facebook, but we might not be familiar with all the other products that Facebook actually owns.
And I think, that is publicly the justification for changing the name. The fact that they now have a suite of apps. They have Messenger, they have WhatsApp, they have Instagram, but also because they have a whole division that's working on other technology.
Yeah, that's that virtual reality. And so that's Oculus, which has actually been around for about 5 years, but people might not know that Facebook actually owns that as
Mhm.
well. So, in one part, I kind of understand why he wanted to create this metaverse.
So, before we talk about the name, something that occurred to me about their decision to change the name. They wanted to separate the company identity from one product. Now, right now, they're getting a lot of heat for that
Right.
one product.
Right. So, I will say the conspiracy theorist in me would say that, this was probably something they were already working on. And, why not, whenever you have negative press, why not tell a different story
Mhm.
and get people off the subject of why you are in deep water right now? So, strategically speaking, I'm not surprised.
I'm not either. Something else, though, that occurred to me is if your company name is no longer Facebook, you are Meta. You are free. I don't know that they ever will, but let's throw a conspiracy out there. They're free to sell off the Facebook division. And
Yes.
so, what changing this brand, overarching brand name does is it allows Mark Zuckerberg to attach his identity not to the app, but to the corporation.
You just hit it on the nose, his identity with Facebook, because, we're all like, we hate Zuck because we're associating all the negative, feedback that he's getting from Facebook and basically the world we're going down. So,
Well, and part of that is he's created that not just in creating the app, but unlike almost any other corporation of its size, Mark Zuckerberg is still the majority shareholder. He still owns and runs the show at Facebook. And so what this is allowing him to do, and as a business owner, I understand, I mean, purely putting on my head as a business owner,
yeah,
this allows him to step up
yeah.
and step away from Facebook and have this bigger corporate identity that he can talk to his
Investors or
investors about.
whoever.
Mhm.
Yep,
Yep.
yep, yep. It makes sense. You know, we'll see how this goes.
Can I now let's switch over just for a minute and talk about the choice of name because as a branding geek,
Yeah.
seriously, Meta.
Yeah, so I don't get into branding as much. I think you're definitely more of the expert here on name choices, but it seems like there wasn't as much thought put into it. I mean, maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I think that my issue with Meta is he's trying to push the original Greek meanings, which are beyond and awareness of self and how that all ties to this metaverse. But Meta also has You hear it a lot in common speech when people are like, "Oh, that's so meta," in meaning it's kind of self-aware and self-referential, and you hear it like on in reference to a TV show or a movie where there's kind of this wink and nod at the audience, and so I can't separate that definition, and so Mark
You have to
Zuckerberg,
wonder what into it. Like, why that? Like, did
yeah.
you not think about how that is going to be associated? And maybe that's what they were going for.
I mean, maybe what Mark Zuckerberg was doing was actually winking and nodding at people who understood the meaning of that word.
That's possible.
I mean, because taking away their current business problems, with regulatory issues and all the papers
Right.
that are coming out, the reality is the Facebook audience is getting older and older, and the more common platforms and the more popular platforms among young people, Snapchat, TikTok, are not Facebook products.
Right. So he's thinking more future. And like you just said, I mean, he could sell off Facebook and just be Instagram. I mean, I could see that happening for sure.
Okay, so his whole thing with the meta part of it, that infinity symbol, unlimited possibilities beyond where we are today, where does he think the internet and society are going?
So while he released in this video the name change, it seemed to be a very small portion of him really trying to push what he's calling the metaverse. And what the metaverse is basically augmented virtual reality. And he's envisioning where we basically would create avatars and we would live in a virtual reality. And my gut is, while I know a lot of gamers, this is commonplace for them to live in this kind of ultra reality, I'm just not sure the main person is interested in living life in an alternate reality. I could be wrong, but I'm not.
To some extent, there were things that I thought were fun and charming, and I thought could be cool. Having a game night with friends around the world and being able to feel like you're really playing a game. I think that's cool. But part of this felt an awful lot like my worst nightmare dystopian sci-fi, where people are sitting in chairs, they're not leaving their homes, they're not really going anywhere. And
Yeah.
uh, again, I see kind of both sides. For someone who is homebound, physically can't get out, this opens up a lot of possibilities. The pandemic certainly created
Change the
interest in
game.
this,
Yeah.
but but I think we've been celebrating going back out and being in person, and
Yeah, I think he was very careful on his word choice. Obviously there it was scripted. He often used the word community and how this would be a great community. But I think living in a world that is online, like the whole privacy thing that he's trying to separate himself from, like the fact that somebody could get online and potentially impersonate me and all of like that just scares the living daylights out of me.
okay, I'm gonna and like I said, I'm a sci-fi geek, and so I've read about all of these, and it always ends badly because
Yeah,
sooner or later the machines take over your life, and eventually real people rise up against the machine. You know,
that's the story we've been told.
yeah, and when they don't, you have 30,000 years of
Yes.
whatever. Um, but I was, as a business owner, looking at all these virtual worlds. And I think one last thing I kind of want to put out there is there are huge advertising possibilities. And
Yeah.
so while Mark Zuckerberg is building this world and this community, he is also building a platform where he's going to be able to sell advertising and product placements.
Yeah.
And so anything that he comes up with, I think there's going to be a product angle.
I think so too. So if you're an e-commerce, type business, I think you need to watch this because this could be something good. I think he also is potentially creating jobs that didn't exist before. So I think that, from that standpoint, it'd be good, but we could also be getting rid of jobs that currently exist. So yeah, I think there'll definitely be some advertising opportunities. He talked about being able to target and all of that. So I'm interested for sure.
I also think it's not going to be something. He's got the Facebook community that is, quite honestly, looks a lot more like me than my kids.
Mhm.
It's definitely, God, I hate to say it's by myself, but it's an older community. I don't think we're going to jump to virtual world. I do think there is a younger customer that is enjoying screens, that is growing up with it. And so I think, again, there are going to be certain products that are never going to leave Facebook. And there are other products that I think 5 and
Yeah.
10 years from now, because that's really what he was talking about. The metaverse is not around the corner.
No, no, and I think you're hitting it on the nose, depending on, in my generation, I've got part, where, there was this like no online internet. I'm
Mhm.
43. And then, there's this like where I grew up with the internet, but younger generations are growing up with nothing but the internet.
Mhm.
And so to them, this probably doesn't seem that far-fetched, but to us, we're like, holy crap, like what happened to the real world?
Yeah, yeah, you people need to go back and read Asimov and Herbert and some of these other authors to know how badly this ends. Well, but that's a story for another day. I think we're kinda out of time. Um,
Absolutely.
I think, for the average consumer, Facebook is still gonna be Facebook. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know anybody who refers to Google as ABC, or I'm
No,
sorry, Alphabet.
Alphabet, no. So, I mean, it's kind of like, here locally, we've got what I would call Deer Creek. I understand it's changed all these brand names, but it will always be Deer Creek. It will always be Facebook. So,
Absolutely. Okay, so if you enjoyed today's conversation and really wanna drop in on other tips and tricks about small business marketing, be sure to come back every Friday.
and we'll always be talking about something interesting.
Awesome. Have a great day.
Take care.
Bye.